Hong Kong was the first leg of the Amazing Race season 37, and unfortunately, sister duo Jackye and Lauren were one of the two teams eliminated in the season premiere. Ladies, how are you feeling?
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
A little bit of relief, still excitement beyond compare, and gratitude for just having the ability to have the experience. What a once in a lifetime journey we just went on.
Yes, it's like the best home movie ever. It was just so glad that we got to share it with everyone. So excited to see us and be able to share what we did on our summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, something that really stood out to me was at the end of the episode, you shared the story about your mother, how she always had this desire to travel and planned on doing that post retirement, and then unfortunately had Parkinson's, and so it felt like you guys were kind of like traveling in her honor. So I'm curious, would you say your mother was the reason that you wanted to compete on the race, or kind of walk me through that? Tell me a little bit more about that.
That what it was so lovely to always aspire to be like our mom, and our mom would always say, "Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this." And so it was a way of being able to take her with us, and it was kind of continuing that legacy of wanting her to be able to experience that through us. And she always, I was thinking about her. I'm glad you asked, because I know she would say, "Oh my gosh, you did so good. I'm so proud of you. I wouldn't have missed this for the world." She always said that to us. I would never, it was my best day of my life, she would say.
She used to always tell us, "You girls are so brave," like just going on a regular business trip,
Right.
which is what we did, every day of our lives. And she's like, "You flew to Phoenix?" It's like, "You're so brave." So for us to fly to Hong Kong, she would have lost her mind.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this was her and my dad's favorite show. They never missed an episode from season one, episode one. So this truly was, an experience come full circle. And yeah, we're so glad to have been able to honor her in this way. And our
Yeah.
dad who
Yeah. Well,
watched.
thanks for sharing more of that insight with me, because something that really stood out to me, is something that I think is the one of the unfortunate pieces of being one of the first teams out is I don't feel like we get to know the teams as well. But oddly enough, in this premiere, I guess kudos to the editors, but I felt like I actually really got to know you guys and a little bit about your lives. So another thing I wanted to ask about that really stood out to me was descending the stairs after coming down from that statue in Hong Kong. And, you kind of sharing that vulnerability of like, stairs really freak me out. And there's a reason why. I had this very personal, kind of terrifying experience. So kind of walk me through how you were able to overcome that situation in the moment, and then also kind of just like what that means to you.
Yes. It was so overwhelming because it's really specifically like wet stairs and knowing sure footing. And the natural response, and you see stairs, is to hold the railing and hold on and stop. So it was like so much going on inside because I wanted to be safe, but we're racing and it's wet and slippery, and I don't want to disappoint my sister. And so it was overwhelming. And what got me through was really knowing we had each other and that she was there with me. And so I always looked up to my big sister and knew that I was safe, always safe with her. And so that helped get me through. And also just knowing that, okay, yes, we're on a race. There's like help me snap back into it and go, and let's do this still.
Yeah, I've literally got tears in my eyes. I don't know why, but I'm just thinking about I've got three siblings and I'm really close with them as well. And you saying that safety piece, like the people that are fortunate enough to have close relationship with their siblings, it is such a comfort and safety space. And I think and I hope that that moment kind of stood out in the same now that it's resonating with me with some of the other viewers, because I think that's super important, right? Like we need more of those safe spaces in the world, and our siblings
Yes.
sometimes are those just innate people that we get to, thankfully God bless have. So anyway, thanks for sharing that. You girls are just doing something to me. I don't know. But okay, so as I mentioned, back to the game piece of this, as I mentioned, you were unfortunately one of the two teams eliminated. So is there anything you feel like you could have done in that first, like maybe could have done or should have done that maybe would have saved you or helped you get a few, spots ahead to not be eliminated?
I think one of the things was we tell them about when we got onto the boat,
Which part about the
about the 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah. So a lot of things that don't translate directly when you're watching the show is time. And how long were we running? How long was that day, et cetera. So we actually missed the ferry back. Everybody was on that ferry back from doing the climb. We missed it by 2 minutes.
We saw it go away.
We were standing at the dock, the ship was there, and because they had, put the plank up, they would not let us on the ship. So that meant we had to wait another 30
30
minutes.
minutes.
And that's what started to, make the pack, stretch out. But we never ever focused on that because you never know what's going to happen on the race. Someone could be penalized, someone could go the wrong way. You just don't know. You can't, insert those things. You run it as hard as you can. And then when you get to the end, you'll know, what happened. So yeah, if we had made that fair, little things like that, taxis, you know, there's things not shown, like our taxi pulled over and stopped and let all the traffic go by. We were losing our peas, but again, you just keep running as hard as you can. There's a lot of what ifs. You could play this forever in your mind, and I try not to do that. It's like, listen, we did the best we could. We gave it everything we had, and the chips just fell where they did.
Maybe we should have had an orange.
I know.
Maybe we should have, if I didn't eat that pretzel the day before, I wonder if I could have been a little bit,
you kind of look at all the nitty gritty things. I think that's probably a very human thing, right? Like, I think a lot of people probably think that way too. They probably overanalyze what could have been. I'm glad you shared that though, because my next question was going to be, if you know how far back you were from the other teams. And it's interesting because that's one of my favorite things about the races of viewer is the editing leads you to believe someone could be far ahead and far behind, but one little thing happens and it changes everything. We saw that in this episode with the couple that was in the lead, and then they had to wait on the ferry and everyone caught up to them. So it was like all that for nothing, kind of, right? And so it's interesting how that works. Something I'm curious to know, I don't know what it was you just said, but something about this made me think about this. Something we don't really see a lot is the travel part, right? So we see you kind of take off in LA and then you land in Hong Kong and go off, but how does that work from, the contestant side? Like, are you just like the adrenaline's rushing, you get up, you get your ticket, you get on the plane, and then you just sit on the plane and you wait in anxiety for however many hours it is, and you just hop off and go? Like, what is that like from your all's perspective? Because that, like you said, there's maybe some things lost in translation, or obviously they don't have time to show every little piece of what's happening in the day. So kind of tell me a little bit more about that. I'm curious.
You just explained it perfectly.
Yeah. And you sit there and bite your nails for 14 hours, and you're like,
It's like everybody wants to go to sleep because that's the rational thing to do. And then you're like, but wait a minute, you need to strategize a little bit. What are we going to do when we hit the ground? We literally, I don't even know if we got any sleep on the plane.
oh yeah, I don't think we got
going to Hong Kong, because it's like, okay, what are we going to do? Because we know the task at hand once we land. And so we're like, okay, let's talk. And you can see everyone else talking about it as well. So it's like, we want to be ready when we hit the ground. So we tried to sleep, but it's just the nature of the game.
Because there's just so much. I think we spent at least 6 hours going, oh my God, we're on the Amazing Race. We're on the Amazing Race. I can't believe it. Like, we got to rip an envelope. Like,
It's a lot of high emotions, right?
Right.
Yeah. There's just so much happening. So, okay. My final question for you here, what's maybe something that you hope, in this one episode that viewers got from you all in your relationship? Because one thing I will say, and you touched on this a little bit, is your sister bond's incredible. And furthermore, one thing I really appreciated is you were very positive. You stayed positive throughout. You were encouraging. Even after you found out you were, eliminated, you just had this beautiful moment. And so I think there's a lot to learn from that. So what do you maybe hope the viewers get out of seeing you all on the show?
There is nothing like having someone who's got your back, having that support, unconditional support. There's just no amount of money in the world that could buy that. And don't get me wrong, $1 million would be lovely. We're not saying we didn't go in there to win, but it became very evident even to us, I think, as we were running the race, how strong our relationship was. I mean, I don't know if we took it for granted or it just brought it to light for us. And we just feel like together, we are absolutely unstoppable in life, and that there will always be someone there to not only, cheer us on, believe the best for the other person, in the good times and in the bad. And it's just, there's no price that can be put on that. And it just brings us so much joy. People think this is not a show. This is how we are every day.
All the time.
We dance, we sing, we do our own little video. This is just what we do. There's just so much joy that I get from my relationship with my sister. And it's one of the greatest gifts. That's what we truly realize too. It's just, wow, what an incredible gift that, that we have. And to be able to share that experience on the race, double wow, just amazing.
Because it's just not worth it. I think part of it we got to do this, and we talk about the loss of our mother. Arguing and bickering and putting vinegar towards each other, it's just not worth it, because you're going to miss out on all those other opportunities. And we can either go through this together and support and have fun with each other, or we'll be miserable and we'll never get that time back. We know firsthand, you never get it back. So it's just not worth it. It's not worth it.
I think you said, what is the thing you want people to carry away with? There's ways to conflict resolution, and, without having to either put someone down or belittle them or yell at them, or
It's a choice.
there's a loving way to just work with someone, and, there's an alternative that,
It's a choice.
that is,
You can
it's
make
a
that
choice. That's, it's a choice. When we have disagreement, it's like you set the timer for 60 seconds.
Yeah.
We're gonna work this out, and then it's like, okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Period. So yeah, I hope that helps someone else's relationships too. Whether it be a sibling relationship or a marriage or what have you. There's
Yeah, there's a reason I didn't go with my husband. Well, my children.
Well,
There's a reason.
that's actually funny you say that, because earlier today I texted my wife and I was like, what if we just apply to be on Amazing Race? And she said, I love you, but no. And I was
I
like,
said, look, there would be a live murder.
yeah, uh-huh.
Live.
That's probably
Yeah.
what would happen with us as well. So it probably is for us.
Right.
But the idea is fun to
Whole
think
show.
about. Yes.
Yeah, you
yes.
can't race with just anybody.
No. Okay, I know I said final question, but there's actually one more that I ask every team in all my interviews, which is simple. If you got the call from Phil and the team with the Amazing Race, would you go back? Would you compete again?
In a second.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We've got
We
our
go to the
backpacks in
airport.
the other room.
Right from here.
Are we doing that? Is that what this call is?
Yeah.
Are we
Yes,
doing that?
surprise. No, I'm just kidding. I wish I had that power, though.
Right this second, no
Yeah.
questions asked, period.
Yeah. Hey, if that ever does happen, though, I want to be with Phil when he calls you, because I want to see your lady's reaction to that. So, yes.
Yes.
We love you, Phil. Chef's
Well,
kids, he's so beautiful.
Ladies, thank you so much for your time today. It was so lovely getting to speak with you. I needed this today. Congrats on getting on The Amazing Race and everything that we got to see out of you. The Amazing Race Wednesdays on CBS. Don't miss next week's episode. Thank you.